So I've had these Vance Hines slip-ons fitted on my street touring for the last couple of weeks, so it's time to make a review video. And I know the first thing you're going to want to know is how it sounds, so I'm going to put my sound recorder on the floor next to the bike, start it up and give it a little rev for you. Now I've got some footage of just before I fitted these exhausts with the stock ones, and here's a little comparison of the two. So the stock one sounded great. One of the reasons that I bought the bike was how it sounded, but I think we can all agree the new ones sound bassier, fuller, and they've got a really nice rasp when you give it a bit of gas. Now there's only so much you can get from hearing the bike stationary and revving, so at the end of this video we're going to take it for a spin and I'm going to put that sound recorder in my pocket and you'll get a full idea of how it sounds on the road. So as well as an exhaust that sounds good, I wanted one that was louder as well, because in my opinion it's way safer in London if people can hear you coming. Come on mate. So that's why I chose the US spec of this exhaust. If you're thinking of buying it, that's worth looking into, because the EU one, you can't remove the baffle, but on the US one, you can remove the baffle, so you've got the option to make it that little bit louder. Now I've got this app on my phone called dB Meter, so I'm gonna pop that down next to the bike, give it a rev and see what kind of volume increase we're looking at. I did the same test with the stock exhaust and they came in at about 77 or 78 decibels, and with the baffles in it was a similar kind of noise level, and that's below 82 decibels, which is the UK legal limit for exhaust noise. Now with the baffles out, they're much higher than that. They're around 88, 89 when you give it a good rev. But to be honest, it's not super loud, probably not as loud as my last bike, because I've still got the catalyzer in. And when the bike's ticking over or you've got the clutch pulled in, I don't think it's really going to cause anybody any problems, but it's nice to have that option to give it some gas when you're filtering, just to let people know that you're coming through. The good thing about the US spec as well is when it does come around to MOT time, you've always got the option of putting the baffles back in to bring it way back down below that legal limit. In terms of installation, it's really simple. It probably took me about an hour to do it, and I did it pretty carefully because I didn't want to scratch them or anything. But you've got a 10mm bolt underneath here that clamps these slip-ons onto the header pipes, and then the other bracket is on the back of the foot peg mount here. So what you need to do is press down on the passenger foot peg here, use a spanner to loosen this nut on the back and remove it. So once you've loosened this collar off and you've got this nut off the back, you can just support the weight of the original exhaust while you remove the foot peg, and then it just slides off. You need to transfer this collar over to the new exhaust, make sure there's a graphite gasket in the end that's in good condition, and also there's some rubber bushes in the foot peg bracket here, so you need to transfer those over. Doing the left hand side is pretty much the same, except there's another bracket that mounts onto the frame underneath, and again you need to transfer that hardware over. That's a 12mm bolt, but all in all, super simple job. You could get a dealer to do it, but it's really conceivable to do it yourself, and you can even do it on the side stand if you're willing to get down on the floor and get messy. Now another thing I really like about this exhaust is the style of it. I really like the look of the stock exhaust. I think it sweeps up in a nice way. Ends in the right place as well, in line with the back of the seat there. So this was the ideal choice for me because it's similar but with a few touches, like the riveted logos, the Triumph logo etched into the top, and then the much bigger opening at the back that makes it look quite aggressive and sporty. All those things make it just look like a slightly better version of the stock exhaust for me. They're just really nicely made, and I think it's a little bit of extra class on the bike. If you did want something that looked a little bit different, then you could go for something like the British Custom slash cut pipes. They're around 250 quid as well, so half the price of what you're going to pay for these. There's also Tech Bike Parts who make a slip-on that's a little bit shorter than these. Again, about 240 quid, so much cheaper than the Vance Hines slip-ons. So they're good options. But I was super lucky because I managed to get these for 250 quid on eBay, and they've only done 400 miles on a bike, so they're pretty much as new. Would I have paid the full price for them? I'm not sure that the budget for this build would have stretched to that, but certainly for 250 quid they're ideal and well worth it in my eyes. But as I said, I was very lucky to find such a good deal on eBay. So as I said, I'm going to stick the sound recorder in my pocket and take the bike for a spin so you can get a proper idea of what it sounds like. Let me know what you think of the new exhaust in the comments, and if you're new here and you want to see how this build turns out when I'm finished modifying this bike, then please do hit subscribe.